So I've been a firefighter for 10 years now. I have recently been promoted in the last year to crew commander. I love the job. It's the best job in the world. I joined and every day is different. You come into work and you're doing various prevention activities as well, helping elderly people, you're going into schools, and then the next minute you're running into fires, or you're helping people in car crashes or animal rescues. So every day is completely different, and that's what I love about the job.
This is something.
I mean, I always enjoyed helping people. I always enjoyed the role model side of everything, being able to help others. And also the excitement of it all. You have to have a certain amount of energy, compassion, good communication skills, as well as the strength and the brawn that people think comes with the job in the first place. You have to be physically fit. Like I said, you don't know what each day entails, and just because you finish one job, it doesn't mean that you get home to have a break. You might get called on to another job, you might be going on to something. So you do need to have physical and mental strength as well to go along with that. Now, you do have the opportunity at work to keep up with your physical strength as well. We have good fitness and gym equipment as well, and also good motivation from your crewmates and your watchmates that you work with. You get really well trained to start with dealing with situations like this, but it's really important that you have a good network of people around you. Now, that includes at home as well, that you're able to speak to people at home, but also at work. When you work with the same group of people all the time, you get used to how each other are, so you'll know if someone's having a bit of an off day, and you do get the opportunity to debrief and talk about it, which is really, really important, especially with dealing with situations that may affect some more than others. If you think some people still have a really old-fashioned view, I guess, that it's all about you have to be super strong, you have to be, a big roughy-tufty person, and it's not always necessarily about that. Yes, you do have to have the strength to pass all of the job-related tests, but there's so much more that makes a firefighter. You have to have really good communication skills. You're dealing with a lot of people on a daily basis as well. You have to have good academic skills as well, because certain things come to help in certain situations as well. It takes a lot of different people to make a good firefighter and to make a good team, and that's what's really important. People worry about doing this career with children, but I've got children and it's a very flexible job as well. The shift pattern almost sometimes helps with that as well, if you have another half at home that can help. And it's definitely something to be proud of. I love that, my son turns around and says, Mum's a firefighter. That's incredible. I like to be a good role model, and I hope that, every time I go into schools or every time we go to fetes and things like that, I'll be an inspiration for the next generation to carry on to want to be a firefighter as well. I love the fact that my job is different every single day. I love the crew that I work with as well. They're fantastic. We're a good support of each other as well, and it's that pride. It's that pride as well. It's the pride of doing a good job. It's the pride of working hard and getting good rewards out of it. It's not just all about going in and saving someone from a burning building or saving someone from a car crash. Yes, you do have that, but if you turn around and you've helped an elderly person, given them that little bit more confidence to be independent at home, it's the small things like that that make the difference as well. So one that stood out quite recently for me, like I said, I've just been recently promoted. So my first day in charge, I'd been in charge for 26 minutes and I got called to a house fire. When we turned up, there was smoke billowing from the windows and the doors, and then the next door neighbour came out and told me that there was somebody that lived in there. So I had to put it back as a person's reported because there potentially could be somebody in there. Then when we finally did manage to break in, we found out that it was a cannabis factory as well, so there's just a multitude of hazards. So basically everything that I'd trained for to be in charge all happened within that one incident in that one day. And if anything I could take away from that job is the fact of how much what makes me a good firefighter and what makes me a good crew manager is my crew, is the support network that you get from everybody. Everybody works hard, everybody wants to succeed. And, you know, no matter what you don't think that you have or that you don't think that you can bring to the fire service, everybody has something which makes them special.
Thank you very much to the Fire and Rescue Service. We're very lucky to have 2 people with us today, and the chat box is already going off. So we'll start off with the first question. Have you always dreamed of being a firefighter?
Yeah, it's always something that I've been interested in ever since I was younger. But even more so when I joined when I was 23, so I was quite young, and then joined full time as well. Then when I was 30, so but it is always something that I've always been interested in. Yes.
And the next question we've got up is: have you ever been hurt or injured during your work?
We've got very good. We follow in our jobs. We have to do a risk assessment for every single job that we go to. So it's called a dynamic risk assessment because every single job changes. Every single job is different. So when we go to a job, particularly if you're in charge, you will get off the fire engine. You then have to do an assessment before you commit crews at all. Now there is an element of risk there. So firefighters have been injured. But what we have to do is we have to weigh up the benefit versus the risk. So if we're going to send somebody into a burning building, we have to justify why we're doing that. So with anything that we do, we have to have a justification, because then if somebody accidentally does get hurt, it would be because they were trying to do something that would be beneficial.
We have a question from Suffield Primary. Is the most challenging part of your job?
There's lots of challenging parts to the job. There, obviously, every time our bells go down, so every time that we get a job or an incident, we don't know what we're going to be going to. Control gets some information, but they don't always get all the information. So sometimes you can turn up to an incident and it is completely different to what you thought you were going to. Sometimes as well, when we're out and about in the community, instance, we will just come across things like car crashes, or we will just come across people that have been injured. And sometimes that can be quite challenging because you have to think on your feet. Day to day as well, there are some challenges to change people's mindsets into the fact that they think that females can't be firefighters because they have to be strong, or they have to be, genuinely one of the lads, as it were, which is quite a sort of perception of how that is, and that's not true at all. You can totally be your own person. You can bring, your sort of qualities to the job as well. So it's not, the stereotypical what everybody thinks.
Okay, I think we've got time for a very, very quick question. So what is the most number of times you've been called out in a day?
So it depends really what the incident is. So you can have sort of 5, 6, 7 jobs a day, but sometimes incidents will last 5 minutes, sometimes they will last 5 hours. So you can have days where you are out all day. So it's not necessarily about the amount of jobs you go to, because sometimes it could be somebody's alarm that's gone off because they've burnt some toast. So that was what we would call an accidental alarm. And we can, leave there after 5 minutes and it'll be fine. Or sometimes we can go to, as you've probably seen, lots of haystacks on fire, and we can be there for days and days and days on end. All right.
Okay. Thank you very much, from Northamptonshire. Thank you.
Okay, good morning everyone. My name's Neil Sadler. I work for Northamptonshire Fire and Rescue Service as the Joint Operations Team Manager based here at Mereway Fire Station. So you've just witnessed a vehicle behind me being deployed and made ready to work at an operational incident, and I'm going to give you a brief tour now around the outside of the vehicle and also inside, showing some of the equipment and functions of this vehicle. The vehicle itself, as you can see on the side there, has the name Nemo, which was decided by a local school. We have satellites, lighting, beacons and cameras on top of the vehicle, and I'll explain more about those as we go inside. We've got a briefing screen here and on the other side of the vehicle, which we'll have a look as we go round, and then we'll have a look at some of the equipment and functions. So if we start moving around the vehicle, you'll notice that it is an emergency response vehicle, so it has all of the blue emergency response lighting. The vehicle's call sign is shown above the windscreen. And as we come round to the side of the vehicle, you'll notice that very similar to the other side, we have another briefing screen. Now all of these screens are touch screens, so they can be operated from inside and outside of the vehicle. So moving on round to the back of the vehicle, I'll show you some of the equipment that we can deploy that links direct to this vehicle. So over here we have a remote deployable camera. Okay, it can be deployed up to 1 kilometre away and again links direct into the vehicle, and we'll have a look at some of the imagery when we go inside. We have a drone that has a thermal image camera and a normal camera. Again, when we're using that, can link straight into the Joint Command Unit and be streamed to some of our control rooms as well. So we have, we're able to pass that imagery over. We also have our thermal image cameras, our handheld thermal image cameras. Again, they all link into the Joint Command Unit to provide the incident commanders inside the vehicle all the information they need to manage and run an operational incident. So, moving on to the inside of the vehicle now, we'll discuss a little bit more and see some of the imagery that these cameras provide us. Okay, we're now inside the Joint Command Unit, and within the first compartment we have our communications set up, our area where all of the computers and servers are held that operate the vehicle. We've also got various other pieces of equipment like thermal image cameras and radios. So moving through the vehicle, we have 2 ops rooms, and this being one of them. They're both identical in terms of their setup, and within this room we will have our crews operating and controlling the vehicle, supporting the incident commanders. So this vehicle responds to large multi-agency incidents and forms a command point for that incident, and is where all the briefings and all of the decisions are made to run and resolve those incidents. So the screens we have here, we have mapping. We can display the news channel, we can display imagery from some of the equipment I've already discussed outside, and in particular this is the drone imagery. So this is an incident we attended in Northamptonshire, and then this bottom screen here controls the cameras on top and the remote camera of the vehicle as well. So just to show you that some of the zoom capability of the camera, we've placed a picture on the bike sheds over there, and we'll zoom right in to show you the quality of these cameras. So you can see the imagery there is really clear. Within this as well, we have a thermal image camera, so we can control that. And this image down here is the remote camera outside. And again, we can move those around the screens, display them at full size if we need to. So moving on from here, we move into the briefing room. So slightly bigger room, and within this room is where all the incident commanders, multi-agency briefings take place, and again you'll see imagery on the screens here on the back wall. So we have the table here with 7 seats. We've got 2 seats and tables on the side wall there, and then a further 3 seats with tables on this wall here. The vehicle is capable of video conferencing, so we have the video conferencing function, and again we can swap and change the images on these screens to display the images the incident commanders want to see at that particular incident. And again, on the bottom screen here we can see a large incident that we attended, and that's the imagery from the drone that you've seen outside. So moving around this vehicle, We can close the vehicle down, we can change all of the lighting, we can dim the lighting or change the colour, so we have the red or blue mood lighting inside the vehicle. Got all the controls for the air conditioning, and then obviously we can control the blinds as well by a nice little magnet there. So that's a brief tour of the inside of the Joint Command Unit. We're now going to go outside and ask you some questions. So, coming outside. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the brief tour around the Joint Command Unit. We've got some short questions for you now, and if you could leave your answers in the comments box below, that would be great. So, going on to the first question then, as we went through around the side of the vehicle, I said that there was a school that had named the vehicle. Can you tell me what the name of the Joint Command Unit is? Okay, on to the second question. How many screens or monitors are there in the ops room? Okay, third question. What colours were the mood lighting? How many seats are there in the main briefing room? That's including the drop-down seats on the sides. What colour is the flashing beacon on the top of the vehicle? What types of incident does the Joint Command Unit attend? And the last question, what image did we see on the bike shed when we zoomed in with the camera?